Not quite. Now we are. There
Ah,
we go. Now we're live. We
now
should
we're
start
live.
to see some people filtering
I'm glad somebody knows what's going on in this show.
it.
But yeah, I tell you what, here we are again, one of the hottest days of the year, always that way. So let's give it a few minutes to. We got quite a few people coming in already, and
Yeah,
for the
let's see
people
that.
coming in, if you can, let us know where you're dialing in from. Just drop it into the chat there.
And more importantly, I have a question, which I've been testing with other people so far. Is if you could only eat one cake or pudding for the rest of your life, what would it be? And I'm gonna go early here and say probably sticky toffee pudding. I think that's my
Gee,
absolute favorite.
you're not doing keto, are you?
Absolutely not. I'm diabetic as well, so
Sticky, sticky
yeah.
toffee. Well, I'd have to go carrot cake because that's the closest you can get to something that's a vegetable, and I kind of love it.
Well, I made a Greek orange cake yesterday, and
Oh
it
yeah,
is fantastic. It was a bit of a faff to make, but
yes.
because it
Save
doesn't use
some for
flour.
me. Save
Oh,
some. Look,
absolutely not. Absolutely.
Richard, we got cake coming in. Shanique says London red velvet cake. Oh my goodness, that sounds incredible. Ream lemon. Carlos. Oh, Carlos is from Indiana in the US.
Oh
Emily.
wow.
Emily loves an olive oil cake from New York City.
Olive oil cake.
And oh my God, that's what I thought. That's almost keto, isn't it? I love some of that. So I think we got a whole bunch of people in on this hot day. So keep the cake love coming. Tell us where you're from. Why don't we get started, Richard? Shall we?
Awesome, yeah.
Shall I get into this? We're obviously here to talk about the world of agentic search. Agents aren't going away, even on the hottest day of the year. So I'm John Earnshaw. I'm the Chief Product Evangelist at PyData Metrics, co-founder, and I'm here with my good buddy Richard. Not for the first time, Richard. Tell us about
No,
yourself.
absolutely not. Yeah, I'm the director of SEO at professional services at Lumar. We're basically strategic consultants within SEO. So yeah, this is our bread and butter. We are obsessed with AI now. So yes,
We are, and we have to be because everybody else is. But there's
indeed.
something going on. Like it seems just as we got excited about the conversation about the AI layer, the new decision layer, suddenly Google's starting to make noises about agentic. Oh, Taryn. Oh, Christmas pudding. Another cake, another cake, another cake. I start to get a little bit hungry. So, usual rules for our webinars. If you got any questions, drop them into that chat, and if they're short, we'll answer them on the way. If they're longer, then we will. Rich and I will deal with those at the end. And we love the feedback. So, if there's any emojis or hearts or thumbs up, if you disagree, give us a thumbs down. You agree, give us a thumbs up. But into today, into today. Thank you for the heart, whoever that was, and the thumbs up. This is what we're talking about. We're going to talk about the highs and the hows and whys of agentic. There's a lot of talk. I think fair enough, Richard. You're hearing it. Your clients are asking about it.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
And with that, there's a lot of confusion. So we will be talking about business agents and personal agents. Which ones are coming first? Because I gave a talk on this on the last day of April this year, which was like 2 months ago, and things have changed. In 2 months, every time you and I get together, I learn from you, and maybe you learn from. But there's
Oh,
so
I learn a lot. Yeah. Yeah.
it's insane, isn't it? And then we're going to talk about the MCP as well, because there's a lot of talk about MCPs. The agents can use them, and you can also use them when you're interrogating, for example, Luma or Pi. And that's something you guys have done a lot of work with, fair to say.
Absolutely, yeah. It changes the way that you can use some of these tools that, well, tools like ours,
Yeah.
where they're very complicated, there's tons of data, and it simplifies things that normally would just take so long.
Yeah.
You still have to have that understanding of what I actually want to get from it, but now I don't have to have three windows open with each different crawl or each different data source and things like that. I can ask one question.
And you gave me a really good example yesterday about how you had all of this information and you can use that MCP just to cut through it and ask the questions in any way you want. And And when you see the power, and when you told me how you were using it, it makes total sense that when a business agent uses a similar MCP to discover information, to answer questions, that's a game changer, an absolute game changer. And then we'll get into some practical steps. So without further ado, we're going to start, as we always do, with a poll question. How prepared is your business for agentic search? I've got no idea. We're looking forward to acquiring our business agent. Perhaps if we're in the US, we already are. We're dialing up our merchant center attributes, or we need direction. Yeah.
No, I'm not surprised so far with the level of the voting. It's such a complicated area.
It's complicated. And the thing is, Richard, it's not, it's MCP, there's UCP, there's ACP, there's all of these protocols or sets of rules that allow one thing to talk to another. So
pretty sure one of those was a ban, John. I think you're leading us on that.
It was OMD, wasn't it? Orchestra Monroe in the dark. Anyway, results are in. The vast majority, 52%, I've got no idea. There's too much noise. Well,
yeah,
that's why we're here. 16% already looking to acquire their business agent, perhaps US based. Dialing up the attributes. That's music to my ears, Richard. What about you? Already enriching those attributes?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this is the time to start thinking about stuff like this, where how is it going to use what you have? And if you're looking at how it's going to use it, well, I mean, essentially that's on to the next step. I don't want to start giving away the presentation too early, but what is the information you're going to actually be providing to it? And how is it changing how your brand is perceived?
Exactly. I think it's absolutely fascinating. I'm just going to stop sharing that now, but those answers, I'm clicking buttons. I don't know what's going on. So I'm just going to get back to the deck. Now, I listened to various Google execs several months ago talking about the timeline, the direction, and this is the way they put it. So Google went through a multimodal phase where it encouraged us to take pictures of things and send in pictures and do image search, and then there was video and all sorts of things. And then with Gemini, we got into visualization. Gemini allowed us to start to visualize things differently in a browser and also interact with the results. Personalization, well, we all search using longer prompts now, so my results are different to yours, and yours are different to somebody else's. And just while we're getting used to it, just while we're learning the nuances of the AI overview and AI mode and ChatGPT, then says Google, stop, we're going to make it agentic. We're going to make it agentic. And we thought they were going to be the businesses first. But so a lot of talk, and to be fair, those timelines, they run in parallel. Personalization is ongoing. Visualization is ongoing. Gemini, when we stop visiting websites, okay, in a year's time, 18 months' time, we will see those websites and the content manifested in the form that we want inside Gemini. Inevitable. You might think I'm crazy, Richard, but the writing's on the wall, and the foundations for agentic search, those tracks, are in place as Google, with its universal commerce protocol, is racing ahead of OpenAI with its agentic commerce protocol. So, I'm pressing the wrong buttons. So obviously, hey, so it's clear. It's clear, and that's why we're all here. There's a lot of talk about agentic. Now, Richard, I'm not going to ask how old you are. When did you first start using Google, and how long have you been using it?
Oh my goodness. Let's see. Nearly 30 years, I think. No, it can't be quite that long.
Well, 25, yeah. But you've been searching before Google.
Yeah, 25. Yeah, exactly. I mean, yeah. I remember, to give more context to it, I remember using Yahoo and my computer professor coming over and saying, oh, there's this new one called Google. It's really good. All it does is search for websites.
What did you say? Hey. You thought that was crazy. I got one better than that. I was invited to give a big presentation in 1999. Was it 1999 or two? I don't know, freaking years ago. And the first guy got up and talked about this new search engine called Google that was absolutely amazing. I stood up. There's a big audience, about 1,000 people. I said, no, 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 forget it. There's an incredible search engine called Hotbot that uses Boolean logic and or not, straight out of San Francisco. I got that totally wrong. Well, after that, most things got right. But seriously, for 25 years, these search engines have helped us find things. Although strictly speaking, we put keywords in, they did search, and then we had to do the hard work, going through the results, clicking blue links, refining, making notes, having 50 tabs. You remember those days?
Oh, that's yesterday.
It was yesterday, but literally in the past 12 months, these same search engines, and I'm looking at Google, have got much better at helping us compare options. They read reviews for us. They refine decisions. And you know what's around the corner? They're going to be doing the choosing. They're going to choose for us. And if anyone doesn't think that's going to be happening before the end of this year, just say so in the chat, because there are things happening around the corner. And when we were at Brighton SEO in April, 2 months ago, I did say, personal agents will sneak into your browser without you even knowing. It will get you comfortable with having an assistant. And before you know it, they're going to be off. But never in my life did I imagine what Google announced about 3 weeks ago. So obviously, we're going to be entering this world where agents choose brands. Clicks are going to be going down, and people see this as a traffic problem, but it's not. And I had a conversation with a brand this morning in London. I said it's an identity problem, because the minute an agent on behalf of you chooses a brand because you've asked it to, the minute it chooses the brand doesn't get to be the brand. There's no jazz hands, there's no tap dancing, there's nothing. And that brand, the beautiful imagery, the 4K video, the full bleed stuff, the story, all gets collapsed into nothing more than a series of attributes. This is 12 months away or less. Attributes. So dialing up attributes, merchant center, schema. Richard, all of this is going to be so important. Do you agree, or do you think I'm crazy?
No, you're absolutely spot on. There's levels to what I would consider the most useful parts of technical schema and things like that. And to give an example, if you've got something that is very specific, let's say, for the sake of argument, because there's a big picture of a shoe on my face, on my screen. We're going everywhere here today. Look at that, and what do you like about that? What do you know about it? How is it different from any other shoe?
Mm-hmm.
Well, we can get quite specific. We can say the color. That's pretty great, but basic. What's the material? How much of it is covered in white? What's the material of the white part of it? You can really dig into that. And when you take away things like shoes and you move on to, let's say, electronic components.
Yeah.
Wow, is there a lot of information that you can share? Before, if you did that, you'd be writing an essay, essentially. Yep. You don't need to do that with structured data. Structured data, you say, it has this, it does this. It's so digestible to LLMs. And I want to sort of underline this, because I've spoken about this in the past, where structured data is incredibly digestible. You do not need to use schema. You do not need to use a recognized structured data. So long as your schema, or so long as your structured data is in a structured format, LLMs will understand it. Yeah. And when you look at it like that, you understand how digestible it is, how easy it is for them to use it. And you should use it. Yeah.
And I tell you what, over the past few months, as we've been closely analyzing conversations, and particularly who's winning in AI mode and who's winning in ChatGPT, something's become really apparent. The big, bold, beautiful brands with the wonderful words are all getting compressed. They're failing to open citation doorways. And if that's happening now, when the agents come, there's going to be even less control, even less so. The only question, though, I have at this stage is how and when and in what form they're going to arrive. And to be specific here, we're talking about business agents that businesses will be able to secure through the merchant center, tell it who it is, style it, give it questions and answers, and then link it to the relevant information in your website or database and elsewhere through an MCP layer, that USB for AI. But what a lot of people don't realize is that some of those business agents are already out in the wild. Now, I'm looking at Macy's website here. Macy's have got this thing called Ask Macy's. It's an assistant. And they tested a version of this in AI mode. And it was a precursor to how agentic search is going to work. So as a brand, when it's available, you claim your agent in a merchant center, tell it who it is, build it up, you push it out there. And then it can have a conversation. It can have a conversation with a human, or it can have a conversation with a personal agent. And when Macy's tested theirs, Ask Macy's, it was so good. People didn't just love it. They spent over 4 times as much when they interacted. Now, if you want to have a go at this, freaking go to their website, have a chat, and start to get style advice. I actually asked this assistant here what I should wear for a meeting I had to go to. I was struggling with socks and loafers. It freaking helped me out. I totally understood in that moment why people are encouraged to buy and spend more. Make no bones about it. Agentic search is incredibly powerful. Incredibly powerful. So I'm going to use a slide. Richard, you've seen this before, but I showed this at Brighton SEO. And I want to ask a question. Was I right? Were we right in what we said here? So thinking at the end of April, 30th of April, 2026, it was apparent then from what everybody was saying that the first agents to be out there in the wild are going to be the business agents. Why? Margin, it's about efficiency, it's about growth. All you got to do is secure it in the merchant center, and worst case, give it your website. And then that agent can have conversations with customers and then help them to buy, upsell, etc. So this was scheduled to happen rapidly over the course of this summer. And then on the other side, we've got personal agents. Now, Richard, a question for you. Would you choose, if I said to you, here, I'll build your personal agent, there you go, embed it in your browser. Would you let it do your shopping for you? How much would you let it spend? And what would you let it do and not do? Just and people online, have a think about it and not drop it in.
Yeah. My default to this was I would be incredibly skeptical of it. Like, how much is it going to spend? Like, can I set a limit? Is it going to overspend on something? Yep. I wouldn't be comfortable with it, particularly if it's just something somebody has made, like a new brand. A new brand pops up and says, look, I've made these personal AI agents. You can install it, go nuts. There's no chance I'm trusting that,
How about this? How about, do you use Chrome? Of course you use Chrome. You're a geek, aren't you? You're a geek.
No need to get personal, John.
I mean it in the best way. I look up to your geeky knowledge. Now, imagine you wake up tomorrow morning and Chrome has gifted you a personal agent that you can plug into your email, you can plug into your calendar. It starts to get a sense of your preferences. It sees your search behavior, and it promises to only try and do the best for you in its online encounters. Would you trust that more?
Absolutely more. Definitely more. I'm still on the skeptical side. And I think it's worth pointing out I am on the much more skeptical side of AI. But I definitely would be I would follow it, and I would want to see people who use it to see if I would then be willing to use it, I think. Versus the other one, which I just dismiss out of hand.
Right. I think, and oh, okay. I'm just, anyone else, let us know. Me too.
Yeah.
Need to build more trust. I would let an AI use my monopoly money. Okay, guys, we got to talk because something's happening this year. We need to be aware of it, and it's going to be a really important thing for our brands. So it does turn out that while businesses will say, yeah, what, our agents there? Should we claim it? Yeah, we'll claim it. That's a no-brainer. Scale, margin, efficiency, growth. Personal agents, it turns out that we are happy to let something search for us. We're happy to let something narrow down options. We're happy for this something to refine and give us the final choices. But when it comes to spending our money, representing my fashion, your taste, your style, that's a different matter. That's privacy, that's security, that's regulation, that's responsibility. So it turns out that delegating search is easy. Delegating a decision takes time. So that means there's going to be a gap, or so we thought, between personal agents and business agents. And in that gap, and this was only 2 months ago, I said something's going to happen. As personal agents, and they are almost here, start making decisions for us, start analyzing brands, reading the content, looking at the prices, looking at all of this stuff, our brands will stop being experienced by humans and start being interpreted by machines. Because if personal agents become really effective, I tell you, I'm using it. I am 100% using mine to do all my research, because personal agents are not what we thought they were going to be 2 months ago. But we are inevitably towards the back end of this year going to be asking this question, or actually before then. How am I going to survive being interpreted by machines? And in order to answer that from a content perspective, we've kind of developed this framework which looks at 5 different things that you have to dial in for interpretation. And I know you've got some ideas from a tech perspective, and we're going to come to those. But while I was thinking that personal agents were ages away, Google said, "Hey, we got a surprise for everyone. We got Gemini Spark, and Spark is going to be gifted to you in your browser, just like I said it would be a couple of months ago." What's it going to do? Oh, I was on a talk at Brightness about AI agents. It could even affect university choices and courses. That's someone's future. Reem, we need to talk. We need to talk. Yes, it's very true. So, what is Spark? Spark is going to change everything. And I don't say that lightly, because the conversation's already changing anything. But when we have agents in the mix, in the conversation, that really will. So, on the left. So, we got a question from Taryn for you, Richard. Just for you. Is microdata digestible by LLMs versus JSON? Kind of read into that.
I would say yes, but I don't remember if I tested microdata because it's been a while since I've written it. Mm-hmm. So I would say on that, just test. It's relatively easy to test because you can go and ask the LLM to go and get a page with microdata on it, give an interpretation. You can write microdata into the LLM, ask it what it thinks of this, ask it to do actions based on that data, and see what it thinks of it. I would assume it would be fine with it, but having not tested it,
Google leans into JSON more, doesn't it?
So, yeah, I know JSON's fine. I've tested the JSON, but yeah, I would, it's the sort of thing I would encourage you to test, because you're absolutely right, John. Microdata is something that kind of got forgotten about, and I forgot about it whilst testing. So yes,
I think Taryn says she's going to go away and test that. So thank you, Richard. So right, okay, how the heck is Gemini Spark, which is going to appear in your browser in coming months? Not now. It's only for the rich. It's only for the ultra. I've got $100 a month to drop on Gemini Ultra. If only I had. Have you, Richard?
No, absolutely.
No. Anyway, so here's how search used to work. We entered a query, then we did the paying, and we had to go and read it all and decide. Okay. Then the conversation came, and we started to have a conversation, but it's still a backwards and forwards. But when Gemini Spark arrives in our browser, you're going to be able to give it an objective. Tell it, for example, I want to book myself, I don't know, I want to go to this exhibition at this art gallery or this museum. It's really busy. I only want to go on a Wednesday between these times. Just keep an eye on it and let me know, and just tell me when I can book it. Shut the lid, it'll do it. It all happens in the cloud. It's carrying intent forward. So in my opinion, when search keeps searching and doing things after you have shut down and walked away and gone down the pub for a beer, that, my friend, is an agent. And that's a sneaky way of getting us all happy with agents. Because I don't know whether, have you plugged your email, your calendar, and everything into your chat GPT? Have you done that, Richard?
I've been resistant to doing it, but recently I've started to incorporate more things in it, and unfortunately it is the case. It's just so useful. You don't have to hit 5 different tabs. You don't have to save 5 different tabs and jump between them and whatnot. You can do it all from one space, and that rapidly becomes more usable and more user friendly. And on that, and you're leading into agents as wider. I have a question for you, John. Our browsers, do they have an end time in terms of, will people stop using browsers, do you think, and we'll just shift to using AI chats and things like that?
I tell you, that's a great question, and I will take you back to something I said on stage at Dallas at State of Search 10 years ago. Every digital interaction that should be a conversation will become one. The browser will become a conversational window. And when you think about Google's trajectory, multimodal, visualization, personalization, agentic, multimodal continues, personalization, visualization, we will, Gemini, and we've already seen this in experiments, but some ways that you ask Gemini questions, it can actually build interactive responses within there. The browser is going to become your window across all conversation surfaces wherever they happen. And in Google's case, that's going to be a walled garden window because it doesn't want to let you out to make the purchase, because UCP will let that happen in the chat. And your only hope of freaking survival, unless you're lucky to get that, is through citation doorways. Citation doorways. So the future is agentic, whether we like it or not. But sadly, it's only for those ultra users. That's $100 a month in the US. Okay, it'll be free soon. And I was actually having a conversation this morning with a client who deals with very luxury customers, and we were talking about this, and we're talking about ads and who's actually using this. And it turns out the more money and the more affluent people have, and there's a brilliant Bain report that came out only a couple of weeks ago, showed the more affluent people are, the more AI they use as part of their purchase journey, and they will all be using this, because it turns out when people are loaded, they think nothing of paying £100 a month for the ultimate AI solution. So yeah, rich people first, then the rest of us. But we can't get away from it. So really, just to round up this bit on Spark, what does it mean? Oh, hang on. Got another question, Richard. Have you seen that? Have you got an example of integrated AI?
I can talk about that, but let's leave it for a little bit longer because it's part of the presentation. So yeah.
We'll be off down a rabbit hole. So yeah, just kind of to finish this bit. So this is the reality of Spark. And I would say if you're on the 1999 version of Google, or you got a work program, you'll be doing this before the end of this year, probably in about 3 months. The only reason I say it's going to be that long is because of the pricing. The pricing comes down, we're all going to get Spark. So it's not a question and answer. You give it a go, you tell it what you want, shut the lid, and off you go. So search doesn't end. Yeah. and you can tell it to come and report back tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock through an email. Tell me what you found. Tell me what restaurant booking. Tell me where you found that nice blazer for a cheaper price than the one I saw it elsewhere. So we won't have to go in and check. Spark will be able to monitor topics, markets, products, prices, all for us. And this is an agent. And don't forget, that agent will be able to negotiate on your behalf. If you tell it, I don't want to pay more than $80 for this particular item. And then through connected MCPs, Spark can move on from researching and recommending to actually making reservations. So as people open up their MCPs to allow agents to securely have conversations with bigger data sets, so it will turn to action. So for me, just to recap that bit, we thought personal agents were a long way off. It turns out they are much quicker. And there totally is going to be this gap over the coming months as we wrestle with the conversation. There will be times that our brands are going to be interpreted. So everything that we have to do from now on is about interpretation rather than experience. And this is where we're going to run into problems with language, because beautiful, wordy, flowery language gets compressed by AI and gets ignored by agents. They want something concrete. Now, mentioned the MCP word a couple of times. I mean, do you want to go into a little bit, elaborate a bit more, Richard? You know this more than me.
Absolutely. And this ties in directly with what Joshua has asked as a question here. And so the easiest way to explain an NCP is that it's a set of instructions that you give to an LLM, and it can be pretty much any LLM because it's an open source sort of agnostic LLM set of instructions. And they tell it how to use your software, to use your website. There's quite a lot of variation on what it can do in that sense.
Yeah.
And the idea behind it is to create these streamlines of someone asks a question. For example, let's use the Lumar one as because it helps me promote it and the marketing team will be happy with me. So we use the Lumar one, and I have 10 crawls for a website, and they're dealing with different things. They'll be dealing with the product section, we'll be dealing with the blogs, etc., etc. I don't have to open 10 windows here. I can just go to the MCP and say, right, okay, I am looking for critical errors on all these crawls. So tell me everything that was added in the last crawl that fits the severity of critical. And it's not making any decisions for me there at this point. All it's doing is going and getting me data and saving me so much time, because now I don't have to open 10 windows, go to 10 separate reports, pull it all into one place, and then make some assessment and some calculations. So that's an example of how an MCP can help compress that workload really quickly.
Yeah.
But there's more to it than that, because you're setting up instructions on how to use your website, and you're telling the LLM how to use your website properly. John had a perfect explanation for this in the sense of guardrails. It creates these guardrails for what actions you want to be taken on your website. So you have this MCP. It's instructions to the LLM how to use your website.
Yeah.
But it also influences how agentic workflows work. You have an MCP. The agentic workflow, the agentic agent knows now how to use your website. It makes it use it correctly, if nothing else. So you've got these, it's really an important part, but the most basic way that I can drive it down is a bit like installing an app on your phone. So you've got your phone, it can do all sorts of things. You install the app for, I don't know, Just Eat's probably one of mine. And now I can order from Just Eat, and it's set up all these paths that work for me. So it's the same thing with an MCP. You install it into your tool to use it, into your LLM instance to use it, and the agents can use it as well to facilitate the correct actions within your website.
Thank you.
No worries.
And you can see why there's confusion, because we got the MCP, which is the model context protocol, and then we've got the UCP, which is a universal, which is Google's. And then we've got the Agentic Commerce Protocol, which is OpenAI's. Now, Google's universal I can't even speak. Google's UCP will actually utilize the MCP. And your example there of interrogating Lumar data and interrogating Pi data, yeah, we both use MCPs because it's so powerful. And in the same way, if you're having a conversation with a agent that happens to represent big brand XYZ, as I start to ask it more detailed questions about the product, that can leverage additional information via a secure MCP. And additionally, if I come along, that agent can check through the MCP. Hey, is this guy a customer already? Because if he is, we can lure him in with a 10% discount. So these will all be critical. So did you want to add any more before we run on to the poll?
Yeah, there's one last thing that's worth noting is the combination. The combination of MCPs, because we've spoken about MCPs here as almost like a singular workflow, but to use the Pi and Lumar MCPs as examples, if you have Pi as an MCP, not Lumar as an MCP, you can ask it, maybe you have a crawl from Lumar. It's got all those pages. That's great. What data do we have for those pages in the Pi MCP? Oh, I don't need to open a new chat window or a new window. I don't need to find, just ask it straight up. And the instructions are interpreted and followed. And now you've mixed data sets. And you can do this with almost any data set. I mean, we're using the MCP examples there, but if you have a spreadsheet, you can bring that in and start using it. There's all these data transformations. Sorry, John.
No, you're right. But that's such a good example. It shows the power of these things. And it shows, that's why everybody wants, an MCP so they can access their SaaS platform in a way that they want and interrogate it. And when you've got two running side by side, we found some problems, from this crawl. Does that actually impact our conversational presence? Well, the MCPs will allow you to ask those questions and those data sets to be meshed together. And that's why they are going to be essential for the world of agents, because here's what's going to happen. Let's go 6 or 8 months into the future. We've all got our personal agent. Business agents are all out there. When I'm shopping for my new pair of freaking chinos or whatever I'm looking for, I'm going to say, take a picture. I want some like this, but I don't want to pay big bucks. Go find it and come back and tell me when you've done it. That agent of mine, and this is not fiction, this is fact, that agent of mine will take those instructions, go off into the cloud, and start searching. Now it's going to be like a virtual AI mode. And then it's going to encounter not one, but multiple business agents. And it will have parallel conversations with them, all negotiating on price, on color, on size, on the attributes I'm looking for. But at the end of the day, this becomes no longer a game of experience. This is about attribution. This is about the ability for agents to really understand your products and your services. And the sad thing is, all the beautiful brand content that we've built up over the years, it gets collapsed out the door because it's all words. Not that there's anything wrong with beautiful fluff, but I think it's time for a poll. Do you currently use an MCP? And if you do, I'd love you to tell us what you're doing with it in the chat, even if you're experimenting. So we got a few. Okay, so you guys who are typing yes, just drop in there what you're doing, because
tell us all your secrets.
Yeah. Let's see who's ahead of the curve. So
I think that's a good way of putting it. We're very much start of real opening up of the MCPs. Loads of people are starting to get them out there, and it's these combination plays, these combinations suddenly open all these different doors. It's like playing a card game, to be honest. You're playing Uno, and somebody puts down a pickup 4, and then you put down a pickup 4. You don't know where it's going to end, but
and Google keeps changing things.
Yeah,
because Gemini Spark wasn't even mentioned. There was nothing Nothing 3 or 4 weeks ago. Okay, results are in. Okay, a quarter of you, yes. What are you doing? Okay, go on. Okay.
Streamline research, talk with data, competitor research.
Yeah.
We've got someone on the roadmap. I do understand there's a hesitancy to just dive in there with an MCP, and I think that's sensible caution, because you're hooking things up to an LLM, and an LLM could do a lot.
And are you just doing it because everybody else is? That's not what we want to be doing. So let's get into some practical steps. I'm just going to get rid of that poll result. Let's get into some practical steps about things that you can do. So I mentioned earlier that we're going to move, as there are more agents in a mix, whether it's business and personal, we're going to move from experience to interpretation. So the first 4 words of interpretation actually spell out inter. Now, this is the best advice that I can give right now in this time, based on every conversation I'm having with all of our clients. Okay, the inputs, that's the content on your website. We've got to think fast content, firsthand, authenticity, socially relevant, and trusted. And trust, double down on, double eat. I can't keep saying it enough. Who wrote that content? If that's long form, who wrote it? And Google is going to go way beyond your website to discover the credentials of the author behind that. Novelty. Why novelty? Just ask Liz Reed. Google's Liz Reed keeps telling us what to do, and she's generally right. She was asked, pushed, how do I uprank in the conversation? Because let's face it, if you're not even in the conversation, by that I mean the multi-turn AI mode, your agent's not going to appear, because your brand has to appear first. My watch has started talking to me. I'm going to take it off and sling it over there. Damn technology. It's trying to take
AI.
It's trying to take over. So if your brand is not present in a conversation, or remember, not at the start, this is not a prompt war, this is a conversation. If your brand's in there and it's relevant, your agent might appear. So Liz Reed said, your content has to be deeper, more unique, and more original. Depth, uniqueness, and originality. Why? If it's not, it's compressed. Your product description's the same as somebody else's. You said it, Richard. When people start describing the product exactly the same, with the same attributes, give me one that goes deeper. And that gets a citation doorway. That gets my brand mentioned. That gets my agent a step into the conversation. And I use threads because we have to remember it's a conversation. Now, were you at Brighton SEO in April?
Me? No, I'm afraid not.
Oh, should have seen it. There were snake oil sellers everywhere. You know what? There were literally people just selling prompt tracking. Oh, yeah, we'll turn all your keywords into prompts and you can chase those. As absolute insanity. And even Google's Liz Reed said, don't chase prompts. Can you optimize for a prompt? Yeah. Is it a strategy? No, it's a tactic. So I would say, anticipate every possible question your searcher might ask as the conversation gets deeper. Make sure that you cover it. Make sure you include it. Make sure you structure it in a way, I'm sure you'll agree, Richard, so that AI can read it. Then your agent stands a much better chance. And structure is so, and entities. Why entities? Because as brands get collapsed into attributes, okay, these attributes define the entities. So it's all connected. And then, of course, what everybody says about your brand outside of your website is vital, because, again, the brands only see your attributes, and your brand becomes what the ecosystem agrees you are. And that is largely based on what everybody else said. But that's the content. And if anybody wants more information on this, then reach out afterwards and go into a lot more detail. But Richard, you know, you come at this from a technical standpoint. What does it take, as far as you're concerned, to make sure that your attributes are seen, that you can become effectively interpreted, your content can be consumed and understood. What do we need?
It starts at a very base level, and I think everybody understands this level. If your content can't be found,
Yep.
it doesn't exist, if you like, it's a 404 or a 500. It doesn't matter. You're not playing the game. You're not part of the conversation, and you will never be if your content can't be found. That's fairly obvious. I think we expect this.
Yep.
Content can't be found. But what happens further down the cycle? What happens, because we know LLMs love to crawl, and oh my God, do they love to crawl. Amazon bot in particular.
Really?
Oh my word, they crawl more, they crawl something like 70% more than all the other LLMs put together.
Wowzers.
Absurd amount of crawling. What happens when that happens? Does your site hold up? Does it start returning some 500 errors?
Yeah.
So some of your content's missing?
Uh-huh.
Once you get to that stage, you've got to make sure that actually what your website is returning is either failing gracefully, so it says come back at a later date, or the content's still available.
Uh-huh.
Or you have to take other steps to make sure that at least the core stuff is still always discovered.
Yeah.
And then we're talking about discovery. I hope you've not forgotten about internal linking. Certainly hope you have not forgotten about it.
Okay. Richard, is it still important today?
Oh, my word, is it? But it's probably more important now than it ever was.
Yeah.
And to be honest with you, it was already incredibly important. You can control internal linking, and Google has hammered on about this and probably still done a fairly bad job of making it known, because everybody knows about backlinks. Everybody knows what backlinks does for your website. Do you know that internal links basically do the exact same thing?
Yeah.
Right? It's your website. You control where the links go. You control what it says. Google's fine with that.
Yeah.
Just say what it is. Give the LLMs the ability to interpret what the link is. Find the link. First off, I suppose is probably and actually move into your content. Move into the actions that it can take.
Yeah.
So it's critical, this stuff, and this is just to start with. I always say, when you're looking at the website technical health, you must start with the showstoppers first, because it doesn't matter at all what content you put on there or what's fancy technical structured data or anything you've got. If the website doesn't work half the time, you're not going to get success with that. So those are your showstoppers. You should start with that. Then let's work on things like internal linking. Let's make sure we get to the right places and they're given the right authority. This is an important page. Link to it.
I love that you're saying this. I love links. I love links should be on my t-shirt, because you know what? I hear so many people saying this when it comes to winning in the conversation. You know what I hear people saying? Just write conversational content. No, don't. That's just more fluff. Go in with some of Richard's links. Just open your bag, pull the links out, deploy them appropriately. That will get you there so much faster than this fluffy content that we're being told. Just write more. Conversational, absolute nonsense. And if anybody's telling you that, just ignore them. Richard, sorry, mate. I have to disagree.
No. Absolutely. I mean, I always say it as it's pieces of a big picture. Now, in technical health, essentially, I suppose it's not really technical as SEO anymore, because we're not limited to that, but we have showstoppers. If you no index everything on your website, Google's not going to index your website, right? Same thing. If you block all the AI bots with robots.txt, the AI bots are not going to read your website well, apart from the ones that are a bit naughty, but we'll gloss over that. These are showstoppers. Deal with those first, but they're usually fairly obvious. It's the sneaky ones, like the rendering issues, for example. How does your website handle no JavaScript? Because that's pretty common with LLMs, and it's almost universal with LLMs. How does it handle failing? You know, there's a server error. There's too much load. Think about those. Think about internal links, and then worry about things like structured data on the page, the content, and everything else that builds up to this being competitive within LLMs effectively. So you cannot have one without the other effectively.
You're right, but I've got a quick question for this. This fascinates me. I just thought of it. Obviously, search used to be easy. URL, title, header, one, meta description, get all the technical stuff dialed, core web vital, returning pages. And everyone, that's because people had only that to worry about. That's what they worried about. And then they had a separate group of people worrying about the content, key content. And then along came the conversation. Oh my God, AI mode, AI overview, ChatGPT. Are people neglecting the technical side of things because they're so bloody worried about getting into the conversation? And now the agents are coming. I'm worried people are forgetting the technical side.
Yeah, I don't know whether necessarily whether people are forgetting the technical side, but I think it's less clear what the goals are. So, for example, if you have a piece of content and you want to talk about it, I don't know, you've got a new shoot, some new chinos. You've got some new chinos and you're going to talk about what they are.
Yep.
And you can look at it and you can describe it and you can say the things that are important or that you think are important. I think that makes sense. If I was to tell you that half the time your website returns to 500, how do you test that? How do you think about that? How, you have to look at the data. You can't look at the output most of the time. And that's where I think people fall down because they look at it and go, oh, it looks fine.
Yep.
But what do the LLMs think of it? What does Google think of it? Or what does Lumar think of it? Because I'm going to promote my own tool. What do we think of it when we pretend to be an LLM or Google? Exactly. And at that point, you then have some answers, and it's that hidden element that I think catches people out.
Yeah. So, and you mentioned, being aware of where the LLM's finding you. Are we discoverable? Are people talking about us? Are we opening citation? Because all the stuff you're talking about, Richard, absolutely, it's got to be done. The stuff I'm talking about, that's all got to be done. At the end of the day, we've got to find some way of saying, are we in the conversation? Remembering that it's a conversation and it's not a freaking prompt. It's not a prompt. I'm going to get a t-shirt. It's a conversation. It's not a prompt. I'm going to do it. I'm going to order it on Amazon tonight. 100%.
I'll get internal links and you can get
You do that. Yeah. It's a conversation. Because if we end up in the insanity of tracking prompts in isolation, what are we going to do with that? When you've got 5,000 prompts, what are we going to do? So, summer's around the corner, my friends. What are you having for dinner? I'll tell you what I'm having. I'm firing up the Barbie. So, my last example here, I just wanted to say we have to have some way of answering the question, are we in the conversation? So, I love barbecue. I love barbecue so much. So, we built this. So we devised some conversations, okay, based around barbecue topics, accessories and upgrades, barbecue techniques, cooking performance. In that key at the bottom, they are conversations. Those ain't prompts, they're conversations. So the question I posed was, which brands are the most talked about in the world of barbecue? This is actually in the US. This is Google US AI mode. The most mentioned brand is Weber. Well done, guys. Well done. And then the barbecue guys further down, you got Corey, got Napoleon, YouTube as a brand in there. Why? Because their content is firsthand, it's authentic, it's socially relevant, and people trust it. But on the left of that, we got to understand the extent to which we're opening citation doorways, because as our clicks are going down and down and down, we got to get our clicks from somewhere. And I'm afraid the only place to get those clicks is the conversation, unless they're coming from social channels. But even that's in the conversation. And look, our friends here at Weber, they are getting citation doorways in 1, in 2, in 3, in 4 conversations. The only questions I'd have are, do they want to be in those other conversations? But in order to even ask that, you've got to identify the extent to which you are showing up, not for a keyword search, not for a question and answer, not for a prompt, but for a conversation. And that's it. And everything that you've talked about and everything that I've talked about will help brands appear in multi-turn conversations, open citation doorways. And I think that's really powerful. And I think, this is a paradigm shift, but it was a needed one. Because let's face it, keywords, for the third time today, I've said this to people, were a blunt instrument. And we should have stopped using them years ago because Google's technology has moved on. And I've just had a nod in my ear to move on. Somebody's saying, get on with it. Get on with the last poll.
Wait, you have people in the background?
There you have people. You need people. You need to get people. I have people. So how prepared is your brand? I believe a poll is going to pop up here. Only you can see the poll, people out there. It's not a shared poll. So if you want some help, even if you want a conversation about how do we do this, how the hell can Lumar help? How can we use their MCP? How can Pi help? How can we use their how can we just win in the conversation? So if you want any of that, then just hit the button. Just hit that button.
I think it was a shared poll, by the way.
Yeah, it is a shared. It's got Pi, Lumar, Pi and Lumar already cut. So thank you to everybody who's completing that.
Yeah.
And while you're doing that,
sorry, I was just going to say, and thank you everybody who showed up and shared their ideas for the MCP and how they use it.
Yeah. Honestly, I'm so happy with everyone. Just so impressed with the number of people that we've got on what has to be the crazy hottest day of the year. So
it's lovely and cool here.
Where are you?
I'm up north near Manchester.
North. Oh yeah, north. Yeah. Freezing up there. So I think that's the end of the poll. Have I got permission to shut this? I'm not going to touch it. I'm not going to touch it. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to move on to the next slide. Oh, okay. Want to dive deeper? Yeah, I should have seen this one. So we've got a Pi webinar on August the 25th. That's going to be part 2 of the last webinar, which was all about winning those citation doorways. How do you actually do it? And then you, Richard, you got another webinar on it, August 19th. What's that one going to be about? If it's going to be about more than what I'm seeing there?
Well, I mean, it's not me personally, unfortunately, but it's about, it's building machine learning workflows. The idea is to build an actual start and end to how you're going to progress an issue and do it effectively without having to constantly be hands-on doing manually.
Amazing. That sounds good. They both sound good. They both sound amazing. So I guess we've pretty much come to the end here. Oh, hang on. I've got a question. Based on the thread evolving above, if it's pointless tracking exact prompts, how can you track conversation spaces? Prompt.
I'm interested how you do it, because I think we do it differently to you. But
okay. So can you convert a keyword into a prompt? Yes, you can. Can you optimize for a prompt? Yes, you can. Do I recommend it as strategy? Not in a million years. So we went through the process of taking keywords, filtering down, using cosine similarity to tidy them up and then build conversation. Didn't work. 6 months. Wasted. Not wasted. So what we now do is we identify the actual conversations that people are likely to be having. Think about a topic or a subtopic. And then we got some smart mathematicians involved, some PhD guys, to actually come up with a way of building the number, nature, type, and quantity and quality of prompts to map conversational spaces. Does the nature of the exact individual prompt matter? No, because you'll never get it repeated. If somebody's buying you sets of real prompts, that's snake oil. Just run in the other direction. We have to follow prompts. We have to follow conversations, because when people go to an LLM, they ask one question, then a follow-up, then a follow-up, then a follow-up. Average 4.25 turns. Don't get fooled into just looking at visibility at the start of what is a multi-turn conversation. I hope that answers the question, but we've only got a minute left. I don't know if you wanted to add anything, Richard.
Yeah, I just want to quickly squeeze how we approach it, see what your thoughts are. Well, we'll have to take it off.
30 seconds, my friend.
The way we approach it is effectively we look at your content on your page and look at the intrinsic questions that it answers. So even if you do not have a question on your page saying, what is this? Your page is still answering that question. Therefore, that's what you're asking. And then we work backwards from there. Right. You're going to be answering multiple questions on your page. So yeah, that's how we work.
Nice. Well, thank you, buddy. Thank you so much. And most of all, a thank you to everybody, the huge number of you that are here until the end at 5 o'clock on this very hot day, whatever day it is. So thank you, Richard. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you very much. Bye, everyone.
Catch you soon. Link up with us on LinkedIn, both of us, Richard and myself,
Yeah, yeah.
all of you.